with the Iran nuke deal that we brokered. Here for a debate, we've got former State Department official under President Obama, David Tafuri. He's in London today, and Rebecca Heinrichs, Hudson Institute fellow and former military and foreign policy advisor to Republican Arizona Congressman Trent Franks. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
David,
good morning. Let's
start with you. When I heard that they were spending hundreds of millions of dollars on missiles, I was thinking, wait, what? They can't do that, can they?
You know, this has been a problem. Iran has continued to test and develop ballistic missiles. Now, this is not specifically prohibited under the letter of the Iran nuclear deal agreement, but it certainly violates the spirit of that agreement. But the nuclear deal was focused on just getting Iran to give up its ambitions to develop nuclear weapons. It did not specifically limit it from testing ballistic missiles and developing ballistic missiles. Now, the parliament's decision to put more money into missiles is unfortunate, and it's unfortunate for the relationship with the West and with the U.S., but it was appropriate for us to put sanctions in place, and if it continues to develop missiles, especially if it develops missiles that can be used to deliver nuclear weapons, more sanctions are appropriate.
Sure. Rebecca, I remember during the arguments from the administration at the time of the deal, they were saying, look, the country of Iran just wants the atomic power, the atomic program, so they can develop peaceful energy. Well, you don't need missiles to keep the lights on.
No, the missile program is the sign that the Iranians were never going to just have a peaceful nuclear program. Missiles are the delivery systems for nuclear warheads. Missiles go hand in glove with the warheads. And in the past, whenever we've actually successfully had repentant nuclear proliferators or missile proliferators, like in South Africa and Libya, whenever they gave up their programs, their nuclear programs, they also gave up their missile programs because they go together.
Sure.
So this was something that the Obama administration said that they wanted to do. They wanted to restrict the missiles. They didn't, because the Iranians simply didn't want them to. So once again, you know, whenever you negotiate, the party that's willing to walk away from the deal, if it's a bad deal, is the one that has the stronger hand. In this case, it was the Iranians. It was not the Obama administration, so we got a bad deal.
David, it looks to some like the Iranians are just thumbing their nose at the United States. Okay, we got the deal. We got the money back. Now we're going to build some missiles.
Well, I can understand why people feel that way. I mean, first of all, let's dispense with the idea that Iran has a democracy. Its parliament voted for this, but the agenda for the parliament is set by Iran's theocracy. And so it's religiously motivated hardliners who put in place this policy, who are pushing forward on the missile program. And yes, they're thumbing their nose at the United States and at the West. It's not appropriate. But at the same time, we should put this in context. It's actually not a lot of money. It's not going to advance their missile program that much. It's more just sending a signal to the U.S., a bad signal, and one that we need to confront and respond to by either putting in place more sanctions or making it clear that we will not tolerate Iran doing much more to develop its ballistic missile systems. Certainly, they cannot be allowed to develop a missile that could be used to deliver a nuclear warhead.
And of course, Rebecca, that's what we said about the country of North Korea.
That's exactly right. And again, the Iran deal, you know, all these sanctions relief is going to go not only towards exporting terrorism, which the Iranians continue to do, it's going to go to the missile program. What the Iran deal was essentially a jobs program for Iranian missile scientists. And by the way, they cooperate with the North Koreans. So as we watch what's happening with North Korea, you better believe that once North Korea develops a capability, they're going to export that to Iran. So again, this was a fatally flawed deal. This is why so many of us opposed it for so long. And now the Trump administration has dealt with this problem. What do you do when you've got this deal in place and the Iranians aren't violating it by building the missile systems that are going to be used for delivery systems once the Iran deal expires, or they decide to break away from the deal and go ahead and go forward with their nuclear program?
Speaking of the Iran deal, let's hear the President of the United States talk about it. We know he doesn't like it.
They are not in compliance with the agreement, and they are certainly not in the spirit of the agreement in compliance. And I think you'll see some very strong things taking place if they don't get themselves in compliance.
Okay, so, Dave, you got to figure very strong things would be more sanctions, although the president just did sign tougher sanctions against the country last week.
Yeah, well, I just want to point out, President Trump has said that, and he also said during the campaign he was going to rip up the Iran nuclear deal on his first day in office. However, his administration has now certified twice to Congress that Iran is complying with the deal. So what the administration is actually communicating to Congress under its requirement to report to Congress on the prospects of the deal and how the deal is going in compliance is actually at odds with what he's saying and what you just quoted him as saying.
All right, Rebecca will give you the final word on this.
Yeah, the big problem with the Iran deal is that it gave the Iranians basically everything they wanted. We're going to continue watching. The Iranians watch very carefully to make sure that they abide by the letter of the agreement. There's been some indications that they're already not, but it's very difficult to verify this agreement completely. But again, this makes it very difficult for the Trump administration because you have all these other countries now investing in the country, in Iran, and so you're going to have to get everybody else to agree too whenever we decide to pull out of this agreement. It's a tough spot, but again, the Iranians are developing these missiles. The Obama administration cut missile defense, and that puts us in a very vulnerable position.
It does look like it. All right, Rebecca and David, thank you very much for joining us.